with the Devils, and we're back after a bye week. Talking everything Arizona State football. I'm the RyKno. Joining me as always, Big John Caldwell. And Big John, it was a rough one a couple weeks ago when the Devils traveled to Cincinnati to take on the Bearcats, and got them behind the 8 ball before kickoff even started with the 9 a.m. kick time. Locally, Arizona time. And then, Jeff Sims, the backup quarterback, starting, didn't do a bad job, but didn't really do enough to win the game either. So, we'll get into to recapping that game as we always do here on RWD. And as we like to say here, you give us 30 minutes, we give it the world of Arizona State football. We will certainly do that this week. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Certainly like and comment below. Stay tuned for everything Arizona State football here during the season. We love talking ASU football with you guys. And ASU falling on the road to Cincinnati, snapping that brief winning streak that they had. And they still have, they're 0-2, Big John, in the Big 12 on the road. Still looking for that first Big 12 road win. Hopefully they get it this week. When they travel to Stillwater to take on the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Certainly looks like a very winnable game for the Sun Devils. They will have Sam Levitt back under center. Be interesting to see how they look. We'll preview that game. We're also going to look ahead, look beyond that game, and look into the final stretch of the season for the Sun Devils, what our expectations and predictions are, and what you can expect out of this team going forward. And then a little bit of news this week. Obviously, good news with Sam Levitt coming back. It's already been announced he will start on Saturday. Running back Relief Brown, who played pretty well against Kansas. We got to see a little bit of him. He was very highly touted, the transfer from USC, former five-star recruit. We all kind of expected some good things out of. It looks like he is going to redshirt for the rest of the year, and hopefully we'll see him back in the maroon and gold in 2025. Mm-hmm. And then ASU making headlines, maybe not for the best reasons this week, Big John, with their open place kicking competition. It led to some interesting videos online, some prospective kickers, some guys looking to maybe crack into the lineup. Be interested to see what happens with that. But I think it was kind of a challenge to Ian Hershey, Carson Kiefer, to kind of get them refocused and get their minds back on the job at hand.
Well, I was glad to see that Kenny realized that by calling out the kicking game, he was calling out one player, which is not the best thing to do. And he did apologize, and he walked it back, and that was good.
Yes,
that was smart. You don't want to be that kind of coach. You want to be, because ultimately it all falls back on the coaching. And so, I do think they've redoubled their effort. They had a good game, probably their best practice, a really, really good practice today. Very intense. I mean, right on the edge. There was a fight, a scuffle today. So it was. And the kicker, I guess they put pressure on the kickers, and he didn't say who, but one of them made two kicks with high pressure, full pressure at 47 yards. So, So I mean, listen, everybody wants to think that's not the reason why we lost the game was our kicking. We lost by 10 points, and the kicking was 6 points of that. So the real issue was what happened to quarterback Jeff Sims and his ability to see the whole field, and we'll talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, there's that. ASU's O-line also got got beat back a few times. They looked pretty good coming out. They drove down the field on the opening drive, punched it in for 6. Looked like they were off and running. They get a stop on the next drive. Cam Scatterboot breaks off a run and then fumbles, and it was kind of all downhill from there.
Yeah.
Cincinnati went on a bit of a scoring run. They break off 24 points in the first half. Got shut out in the second half. Props to the defense for that. But ASU just really struggled to generate offense with backup quarterback Jeff Sims. who again was kind of pedestrian with his numbers. You see there 12 to 23, 155 yards, and then 53 yards on 14 carries.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think the play calling got a little bit too vanilla. Felt like they needed to mix it up a little bit more than they did. Maybe utilize his rushing skills rather than have him, do a straight drop back and try to see all the field, kind of like with Sam Levitt.
Well, I think to me, because I've watched Jeff since he got here, he doesn't read defenses like Trenton or Sam. I would for a player like that, I would design him to roll out to one side or the other, and then cut down half of the defense for him. He only has to read one DB or one linebacker as his key, yet we didn't do that. We kind of ran the same. We were letting him run to either side. It was not his rollouts were not by design. They were because he was flushed.
Yeah, by necessity. Yeah, he did get under a little bit of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Cincinnati's defense, they did generate a couple of sacks, a few tackles for loss. ASU had that big fourth down where they got stuffed. We kind of point to a few different plays like that where that kind of made the difference in this game. Where Cam Scadaboo, he had those 2 rushing touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
But the fumble was really bad, deep in their territory, and then Cincinnati was able to rush the ball. These two teams actually had the exact same number of rushing yards, 191, which was kind of interesting.
But only 75 from Cam was he's got it. You got that. That's a failure right there. I mean, that's just execution in the blocking. So I mean. Listen, we didn't stink up the joint. The fact that we shut them out in the second half, those are all encouraging things. We played hard, but first half we were getting beat off the ball. To me, that was to my eye, we were just getting beat off the ball, and that was the difference. And that and Sims is not not the most not the best at being able to see everybody who's open.
He's definitely not the most able quarterback, and we kind of knew that coming in. I mean, that's why Sam Levitt won the job coming out of fall camp.
Mm-hmm.
It just never really kind of came together, and I think we're all kind of really glad that the bye week came when it did, and Sam Levitt's now back under center. Hopefully he can stay healthy for the remainder of the year. Jordan Tyson,
and that Sam has shown really from in the first 7 games, he has improved, and there are parts of his game that have gotten better each week. So, I mean, I just expect that to continue, and I think that's part of the optimism. Everybody's so glad he's back because if he keeps on this pace of improving, it's is it 3 points? Is it 7 points? Is it 10 points? It's going to get you. I just think he's it's coming at the right time, and everybody
the way the defense is playing, through 4 quarters,
right?
That could certainly be the difference in a game. So it has been so far. It certainly would have been in this game. So hopefully, the team kind of rallies around this. Takes this as a learning experience and is able to move. Be better for it. Jordan Tyson continues to establish himself as the number 1 target in the receiving corps. He had a nice game, 6 catches, 108 yards with a backup quarterback. There's something to be said for that. And then Cincinnati, we knew that Runnin Sorsby and Corey Kiner, their quarterback and running back respectively, were solid runners. Sorsby, I didn't give him enough credit. They actually ran some design runs for him in the red zone, and he made him pay.
Yep. So, he's a big boy. He's not. Yeah. He was not. You didn't think on paper he looked like a good runner, but I'd seen a little bit of it. And that's why I said I initially said, well, dual threat. He really isn't. He's not a true. The pros would never call him a dual threat, but the fact that he did, the fact that he was, he kept us on it. He burned us a couple times. So.
Those 2 rushing touchdowns.
Oh yeah.
Corey Kiner, even though he didn't get in the end zone, certainly set the pace.
Oh yeah.
With that, his backup Evan Pryor actually ripped off a big touchdown run.
That's right.
Yeah, unfortunately ASU just didn't have an answer for them for the full game. But I mean, the defense, give it hats off to them. Even though they gave up those 24 points, they were put in some bad positions to try and keep Cincinnati out of the end zone, and but they still kept it. They held them 3 for 12 on third down. Keith Abney had another interception his second straight week with a pick. And yeah, shutting out the Bearcats second half. A lot of good things that you can take from a game like this. So, and that takes us into what we learned this week, presented by the Valley Athletic Booster Club. Support local athletics. Check out valleyathleticboosterclub.com. And for me, I think, this is certainly a quarterback-driven game. You're going to rise and fall more often than not with the fortunes of your quarterback, but he's certainly more important than originally thought. You even said it. He's worth 3, 7, 10 points a game, and he certainly was in this game. If they'd have had him out there, I think this would have been a much different contest. And the defense still has some room to improve. They kind of went through a stretch there in the first half where they let Cincinnati get in the end zone a few times. They give up some big plays. They still have some room to improve. They had been trending in the right direction. I still feel like they're trending in the right direction, but if they're not forcing turnovers, it's kind of tough to get teams off the field sometimes. I think they just kind of need to break down this film and just kind of move, turn the page and move forward here. But they need to continue to force turnovers because that's when they're at their best, in my opinion.
Yeah, I really think that you're right on that edge. Rouser is right on that edge of just having a monster game. He plays so intense. He's right on that edge of penalty fouls all the time. and today in practice, Brian Ward said, we got to really watch him because he's right on that hairy edge.
Well, he needs to stop standing over guys because they're just looking to flag you when you do
he's
that.
He's a talker.
Doing that.
He's a talker. Yeah. Talking smack.
But luckily, this was not a big game for penalties. Thankfully, ASU only had 2 in this game, so that's certainly not. That wasn't an issue. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Matt Rouser needs, he needs to play just a little bit more under control. I feel like you play the way you've been playing between the whistles. When the play's over, just know how to walk away.
I had made the point that I really wanted to see our tackling improve, and I thought it improved somewhat. It wasn't
like a little bit.
Yeah, it wasn't flawless. There's still some guys reaching and
they gave up too many big run plays. There were too many holes, especially on cutbacks. You see the running backs just cut back, and there were too many running lanes.
Yeah,
I agree.
I just think that remains an issue. But you only get 30 minutes of live tackling a week. It's hard to take guys to the ground because you don't practice it. So that still remains an issue. And I didn't list it as one, but it's obvious that if we really can't get our run game going because our O-line is not executing, so goes our offense in a lot of ways. So I would like to see the D-line get a better push. They were getting beat off the ball quite a few times, and we do need better third and fourth down production. There was just too many, third and short, fourth and going for it, and didn't execute.
We were like 4 of 12, I think, on third down, and 0 for 2 on fourth down. That's just not good. Yeah, that's not getting it done.
And I brought it up in the pregame show, and that was twice early in the season we ran a fullback, and it was a reserve offensive lineman, and we chipped off of him, and we got a yard when we needed it, and so we've gone away from it. I'd like to see us keep trying that. It does work, especially in goal.
That's not a bad idea.
Goal, especially in goal line. That's almost that's one of the highest analytic numbers you can find. Probably is fullback on the half-yard line, 1-yard line, and then obviously everybody's all focused on the kicker. I'm glad, special teams is a third of the game, and yet it became glaringly obvious. We've missed 5 kicks in 3 games. So it's in two games,
including a couple extra points. I know.
Yeah. So
that is a problem.
It's it's a confidence issue. I'm sure there's technique involved. Bringing an extra kicker in to tell these guys that your job is not secure is probably okay to do, but you got to praise them as well as beat on them too.
True.
So I'm expecting that to turn around. Statistically, it can't keep going like this. It's got to swing back the other way. But as I've told you, Ryan, for a year, what's my favorite expression? Kickers are head cases. I'm sorry. And you know how you prove it?
They're like golfers. I mean, they get the yips, and it's so hard to kind of pull out of that tailspin.
I told you the trick question to ask any kicker: what's your favorite hash mark? And if they have an answer, that there's an issue there.
I hate to move away from ASU, but look at the Cardinals right now and Chad Ryland. When he kicks off that left hash mark, left to right, he's money.
He's money.
There you go.
Yeah, keep him on that. They ran to that side to finish the game. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. That's what I'm saying. So hopefully we'll see that improve. I think certainly that's something else that kind of held us back, missing those 2 field goals. Granted, they were a little on the longer side, but again, you got those. They were still very makeable, even by college standards. Hopefully that's something that will improve going forward. But yeah, we're entering the home stretch of the season, Big John. Final 5 games of the season. What are our expectations and predictions going into this final stretch, Dean?
Well, I think this game, because if you can finish on the road and win a game against a team that's been struggling and giving up as many points, 30 points a game, giving up 500 yards of offense to the opposing team, I really think this is a very winnable game. And so I'm counting.
Feels like it, yes.
Out of the 5 remaining games, I see 3 of these as winnable. I see OSU, I see UCF, and I see U of A. I don't. At this point, K-State and BYU look really, really good. K-State on the road.
They are really, really good.
They are. They look phenomenal. Well, and to my eye, BYU is playing probably all 3 facets of the game as well as anybody right now.
Right now, they look like the best team in the conference.
Yeah.
Bar none. I mean, just plain and simple. Granted, they kind of struggled against Oklahoma State a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But
I think Oklahoma State was playing for their life.
They know how to turn it on, and they're finding ways to be productive in all 3 phases of the game. That's what great teams do.
Oklahoma State, that was kind of the pivotal game of the year. They were trying to turn that whole season around again in that game, and they were playing for their life. But I think at worst we win we win 2 of these last 5, and we win 7 games this year. And I hate to be that guy, always focusing on how many wins. To me, it's about the process, and I think the process is. ASU football is back, folks. You can just see it in so many ways they're doing things right now. They're getting better in so many facets of the game, and we're going to get better. We're going to get talent-wise. We're going to get so much better here.
And that's what I want to see in these last 5 games is that continued upward trajectory. Granted, it's like looking at a chart of your production as a company. You're kind of all over the place, but you're still kind of trending right. Upwards, and that's kind of what I want to see out of ASU. They kind of took a little mini dive this 2 weeks ago against Cincinnati, but they used the bye week to get healthy, get right, get themselves ready for this final stretch, and I feel like they're in a good headspace going into this final stretch to make some noise and do some good things here these final 5 games. I just want to see them continue to improve and end on a strong note.
Well,
and to me, 8 wins feels very, very doable right now.
8 wins would be, double what the all the writers thought. But to me, the X factor
each of the last 2 years.
I think to me, we were very fortunate at the Valley Athletic Booster Club we had Scadaboo and Sam Levitt come in and speak to us last Friday, and Scadaboo he's a different cat. I'm telling you, retribution is one of the biggest motivators in sports. It really is. I love it, but he specifically said he wants to make up for that performance in Cincinnati and what happened last year against letting Oklahoma State come back and beat us in the fourth quarter. So this is wearing on this kid. He really is mindful of. I expect a really big performance out of him. So I think this is. I can see that. I love everything coming out of his head. He's an intense dude. We're very fortunate to have Kenny's process and Scatterboo happening all at the same time. I think this is a great. It's not just one or the other. I think they're happening together. That's pretty special, folks.
Yeah, but Scat's kind of proven himself to be the heartbeat, the pulse of this team. You know, as he goes, as the running game goes. You mentioned it in the last segment. You know, that the team goes, and when Scat's making big plays, this team is very hard to beat.
Yeah.
So, you know, I feel like this is a great this week is a great opportunity for him to have a bounce back game. He's certainly, you know, saying all the right things. He's in the right mental headspace to go out there and light it up. You know, just got to, you know, O-line's got to do their job in front of him. You know, hopefully Sam can get some good throws in. They can use the play action game this week, and they'll continue that, you know, into the next few games, because UCF looks like a winnable game right now. They're on a 5-game losing streak right now themselves. They lost a heartbreaker last week to Iowa State. Like they were going to pull the upset, and they lost in the last minute. So, you know, it is going to be an interesting stretch. You know, you got, you know, some games that look very winnable, but college football is a fickle mistress. It's very very unpredictable. That's why we love it. Week in and week out, you never know. Anybody could beat anybody. So
everybody's beating,
especially with ASU, what they've done at home. They were very very tough at home. Now they got to figure out how to duplicate that on the road. That success. Hopefully they'll figure out a way. With these last couple, you know, they got technically 3 road games remaining. Hopefully
I know it sounds crazy, but
on the road, that's what I'd like to see.
I kind of like the way this season it now shapes up with BYU as the second to last game. I mean, if you just show that improvement, you know, and if really they are the best team, and you're playing in a crazy homecoming game, man, I don't know. It could be pretty.
It feels a little bit like Oregon in 2019, doesn't it? Granted, we had the home field advantage that game, but
it's like we kept them out of doing something better by losing that game to us.
Sure.
And I just think you know, all bets could be off with BYU, as much as they look like they're steamrolling teams right now. I just love the whole narrative of having them come into this place and being our homecoming game.
It's going to be, and the game's almost a month away, so a lot can happen between now and then.
Yeah, and we're not the team should not be focusing on any of this. This is just us fans, you know, doing creating the narratives here. But I
mean, that's our job. Our job is to look ahead. You know, with this final stretch now. The last bye week is over. You know, I kind of wanted to just kind of get an idea of what we're looking at going forward. You know, that Kansas State game at home is going to be very interesting as well. That quarterback Johnson of theirs, he's an exciting player in his own right.
We're at
That's going to be an interesting game to watch. Certainly.
Yeah, go into K-State. It's going to be cold. It's not going to be Sun Devil weather. We're going away.
Yeah, that's true.
So again, if I'm seeing out of those 5 games, I'm seeing at least, to me, I mean, it's really feasible that we're going to win 3 of these things at this point. So
the way that some of these teams are playing right now, absolutely, that's what it looks like on paper, and I think that's the goal. I think, you know, what we're looking at on the schedule. But again, that's why they play the game. Teams got to go out there and execute and play like we've seen them capable of playing.
What's really cool is you're playing in these last 5 games 2 of the upper third echelon teams.
Sure.
You're playing 2 of them.
Definitely.
2 ranked teams. So we thought beating Utah was great, running, you know, number 19, running on the field. You're playing 2 teams that are better coming up.
Much better.
So, I guess my question, and you can't ask, it's hard to ask this question now, but
that's why we have this show, to ask the hard questions.
Well, was Utah an upset? At the time, had to look at it.
Here's the thing: they had some things going against them with Cam Rising's health and whatnot, but he doesn't tackle, for one thing.
Oh, he doesn't kick? He doesn't do anything.
Running up and down the field like that had nothing to do with the quarterback. And they were coming in off a bye week. We were coming off a short week. So I would absolutely call that an upset, especially given where they were. I mean, yeah, they were ranked. They had some things going against them, but ASU still went out there and they were the better team.
Right. Oh,
and that's all that matters.
True. I mean, it's not until when all the dust settles, when you see where everybody ranks out, when you go, well, but I'll just tell you this.
Still going to go out there and play. Still going to go out there and execute. So
that's right.
You're going to play who's in front of you.
Right. Well, I'm real encouraged. I know how you practice in a lot of ways. At least the staff and the process says if you practice really hard, the game will be a lot easier for you. It's going to be easy, and that's the way they're approaching this. So we're practicing really hard. We're practicing very hard right now. So
that's what all the best teams do. They practice hard, so that when the game gets hard, they know what to expect and they're prepared for it.
Well, you have not seen us wear out in the fourth quarter. You've not seen any tired guys cramping and dogging, and I'm not seeing a lot of hands on hips, hands on knees, man. Sorry, their body posture. We're the
better prepared team. We're the better conditioned team.
Yep.
That's been a big key to the success.
Yep. Well, they put in the work. They really have put in the work this year.
Oh yeah, totally. They've earned everything that they've gotten. Absolutely. Hats off, boys, because they have absolutely earned every single thing that they've gotten this year.
Joe Connolly, the strength and conditioning coach, has gone on record saying he has never had a team put in this much work.
Oh, they're committed. That's the thing, and that goes back to coaching.
Yeah.
Because they're committed. You can totally see it.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Just gotta see it the last 5 games. I want to see that commitment, see that just continued improvement going in those final 5 games. I just don't want to see, because we've seen teams like, we've seen ASU teams in the past, for whatever reason, just tail off towards the last stretch of the season. Granted, that part of that's coaching, and I don't think that's going to be a problem this year, but players still have to go out there on the field and execute. So
that's true.
That's what I'm looking for. So going into this week, of course, ASU playing Oklahoma State for the 3rd straight season. Big John, that's for a team that this is the first conference game. Of
that's
course,
right.
They played the home and home against the Cowboys the last 2 years. This will be a conference game, so it's going to be interesting because this is an Oklahoma State team that has woefully underachieved this year. 3-5 record. They have yet to win a Big 12 game so far this year, which is very uncharacteristic for head coach Mike Gundy in his 20th season in Stillwater as the head coach. He was an assistant for the Cowboys, back in the early 90s, went to Baylor, went to Maryland, and then came back as the assistant head coach and OC, got promoted from within in 2005, and has just continued to have success ever since. But this level of struggle is unprecedented.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was going back to records. I haven't seen 5 straight losses. I couldn't find it. I stopped at a certain point, but yeah, I haven't seen them lose 5 straight.
And they've kind of lost to some, I don't want to call them, mediocre teams, but some average teams. I mean, they have played some tougher teams. They did lose a tough one to Utah. About 5 weeks ago. Then they play Kansas State, but then they lost a real kind of clunker to West Virginia at home, which was an ugly loss.
Yeah.
Then they go to Provo,
and they rallied.
BYU all they can handle.
Yeah.
They only end up losing by 3, and then they lay another egg against Baylor last week in Waco.
Well, it looked like BYU beat them twice. That's what I'm thinking. They got out physical. BYU is very physical, and And when you play a very physical team, oftentimes the next week you're so beat up or you're so demoralized or something, you lose again. That's happened to us. That was happening to us.
Totally, and that is one way to look at it. That certainly looked to be the case with the way. If you watch that, I watched that Baylor game.
Mm-hmm.
They could not tackle to
No.
save their lives in the
There
fourth
you
quarter.
go.
They looked tired. They looked fatigued.
Right.
So yeah, that is certainly a case. But hey,
Mm-hmm.
that's all the more reason for ASU to try and wear them down as much as possible.
Sure.
So coming into this game, you look at Oklahoma State and with where they're at, they're certainly struggling. But the offense really hasn't been the problem so much. They're still averaging 31 points a game and over 400 yards of total offense, and they have a 70-year senior at quarterback in Alan Bowman. It feels like he's been there a long time. It's because he has. He he has been there. He's their 7th-year senior, just like Cam Rising in Utah, and he's had a decent year. 166 yards, 166 of 275, about 60%, 14 touchdowns, but those 10 interceptions,
10 picks, man. Yeah.
Big problem.
Glaring issue
for them.
Yep.
Yeah. So, that's something that ASU, I think, this is an opportunity for the secondary to make some plays for the front seven to kind of pin their ears back and get after him a little bit and hopefully force him some mistakes. They were alternating between Bowman and Garrett Rangel,
right?
A little bit more of a runner. Bowman actually got benched twice this year in favor of Rangel, but he's out for the time being with a collarbone injury. So, it's been Bowman or bust so far this year, and he has been the turnovers have been a problem, and that's something that I'd like to see ASU's defense take advantage of.
Well, and if Bowman goes down, it's a Chinese fire drill. They their third string quarterback's probably not ready. Nowhere close to being able to play, execute the whole playbook.
That's why I say Bowman or bust.
Exactly.
But he does have some good weapons around him. Running back Ollie Gordon II looks like he's been one of the best running backs in the nation for the past couple seasons. He's preseason All-American. And don't let his size fool you. It's 6'2", 225. This kid is fast. We saw it firsthand the last couple of years. He's burned the Sun Devils in a big way. He can get out, and he can. I mean, he's having a great year. 568 yards on 135 carries, 8 touchdowns. He's also caught 22 balls. Did have a knee issue last week, so he may not be 100% in this game, but he's still a big weapon. Sure. And one that they're gonna feed the ball to quite a bit.
So you're gonna have to ask yourself the question: which of these two weapons are you gonna try to shut down, Bowman or Gordon? Well,
Bowman's certainly been the more mistake prone.
Correct.
Of the two this year, I think you shut them down, and this is going to be one of my keys to the game. You got to shut Gordon down, make them a throwing team, especially if you can get out to a lead early on.
And make them make mistakes.
Get after Bowman a little bit, and hopefully your secondary can continue making plays like they have the last couple of weeks.
Yep, let Abney and Rouser and
Javon Robinson will be back. He left the Cincinnati game with an injury. He'll be back.
Simmons.
Rouser's been due for an interception.
Shamari.
He's been around the ball plenty. I think he's due for a pick in this game. Shamari Simmons, I think, has one on the year. He's certainly capable of getting another one, so it could be an opportunity for them to ball out in this game. But they're going to have to be on their A game because Oklahoma State has some quality wideouts.
I agree.
Brendan Presley has established himself as the premier target for Bowman. He's having a terrific year, 56 receptions, 563 yards, 6 touchdowns. He's also got a rushing touchdown. They find different ways to get him the ball. He's got a passing touchdown on the year as well. So
right,
they use him in a lot of different ways. He's a nice weapon for them.
He threw that to Bowman, I think.
He did. That's right.
Okay.
Dejon Stribling, Didn't have a very good game against Baylor, but he's certainly been a good weapon for them this year as well. Presley's kind of overtaken him as the top target, but
Yes.
he's still having a nice year. Sterling, despite having 25 fewer catches, has more receiving yards than Presley.
He played well against us last year. I remember that. I remember that.
Oh yeah. So again, you couple them with the big target, Rashad Owens. This kid is huge. I mean, he looks 6'2", 210. He looks like a tight end to me,
right
out there. But he can run. He's a big red zone target. That's a guy you definitely got to put a body on, because he can catch. He can definitely go out and make some plays.
Big catch radius.
Their offensive line has kind of struggled this year, especially with Dalton Cooper, their starting guard, kind of being out. He was out last week with a lower body injury. It doesn't look like he's going to play this game either. They've had some issues with running the ball and in pass protection with him being out.
Right.
So, and then on to the defense. This has been a big problem for them this year. They've, really, you're giving up 500 yards per game. And if you watch that game against Baylor, they gave up some huge plays where they should have had the ball carrier stopped for about a 5-yard gain. The guy took it 40 yards to the house.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is a defense that has kind of been worn down. They're not as deep as they have been in years past, especially up front. Where they've always had good D linemen.
Right. Waves.
They're a little bit they're a little bit thin right now.
Well, that's how they beat it. The last 2 times they beat us, or the time we played them, in the fourth quarter, they just kept sending more fresh D linemen, and looping and stunning up front, and just beating us and wearing down what was obviously a very thin offensive line for ASU the last 2 years.
Two of their best defensive players, starting linebackers Colin Oliver and Nick Martin, are both going to be out for this game, as is Cameron Epps. So they're a little thin up front, and they've had some issues keeping teams out of the end zone. They've been outscored by 62 points during this 5-game losing streak. So a good opportunity for ASU's offense to put some points on the board, especially now with Van Levitt back. And I'd like them to give Cam Scadaboo the ball and just let him do what he does. So hopefully the blocking up front is a good quality.
If I see if Scadaboo can get a nice look, a nice hole, get to that second level, I kind of pity some of these second string linebackers, because he is. If you remember, one of the real shining moments of the season was what Scadaboo did to that Cincinnati DB down at the goal line, where he drove him, hit him with that shoulder, and knocked him out. He put that kid out. It was a body blow.
That was a tremendous run, because it looked like they had him, hemmed in the backfield, and he just, kind of beat the guy to the spot by the sideline.
He planted
just ran the guy over right there. I know and he was down for a minute too.
He was.
So that was a highlight reel play, and despite the loss. That was a crazy moment.
I'm looking forward to the football banquet when they put that play up. It's going to be freaking awesome.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm so. But moving on to the Cowboys defense, the rest of the Cowboys defense, they do have a couple of quality safeties in Trey Rucker,
right?
Who's leading the team in tackles by far with 71. He's also got a couple picks on the year. Kendall Daniels, the strong safety. This is a kid. He's 6'2", 190. He's a big boy.
Out there last year.
Out there on the back end, they'll play him close to the line. He's got 3 sacks and 6 pass deflections on the year. So he's a playmaker out there. They definitely got to know where he is at all times. And then Jeff Roberson, with the injuries in the linebacking core, has had a chance to step up this year. He's got a couple sacks. So he's playing pretty well. And then on the D line, Obi Ezigbo is tied with Daniels for the sack lead, and he's also got 7 tackles for loss on the year. So he's having a nice season at the DN spot. And then their leading corner, Corey Black, he's got 3 picks, 5 pass deflections on the season. So definitely got to keep an eye out on him as well. So his defense has put up some numbers this year, even though they've given up a lot of points. They've had tackling issues certainly, but they're certainly not a unit that needs to be disregarded because they do have some players back on that unit. So our keys to the game, presented by Sleep in Heavenly Peace, a great nonprofit organization that builds beds for families in need. Please support Sleep in Heavenly Peace. And for me, run, scat, run. You've got to get this kid. I'd say 30 touches for this game between carries and receptions. Mm-hmm. He is perfect to wear down this Oklahoma State defense and keep them struggling. This is a team that has really struggled to stop the run. They're giving up 250 yards on the ground per game. This is a game that is tailor-made for Cam Scatterbo to go out there and have a big game. So keep feeding him the rock, keep wearing down that Cowboy unit that has really struggled this year. Keep them struggling, and let Cam run, because we all know we all have seen how well he can do that.
Right.
Defensively, batter Bowman. Pin your ears back and come after this guy, because he is a statue in the pocket and he doesn't throw well on the run. No. A lot of, John, you talked about it. A lot of his picks this year have come when he's going to his left and trying to throw across his body. Yep. He cannot do that at all. So, bring some extra pressure to the left side, get him out of his comfort zone, and make him make some difficult decisions. Because this year he's got 10 interceptions on the year. He's been prone to mistakes. Go out there and let him keep making them. And then I really want to see them end their road woes. Still not, 0-2 on the road in the Big 12. You got to start fast, get out to an early lead, make the Cowboys play catch up, turn them into a throwing team, because they've struggled when they've had to do that this year. Kind of make Gordon as little a factor as possible. Right. Certainly you want to get after Bowman, and offensively, just go out there and execute for 4 quarters. Don't, you get the Cowboys down, don't let them up. There's a team that's in a bad headspace right now because they're in a losing streak. They're in a rut. Don't be the get right team. Don't be the team they get right against to turn their season around. Go out there and just play like we know you're capable of, and get these road woes behind you.
I like your thinking here, Ryan. That you're really kind of saying, you got to pick your poison. You got to shut down Bowman or shut down Oliver, and you're saying shut down Oliver. To me, yes. when Oliver is most deadly is he's at the edges, So they have a lot of speed.
He's fast enough to get around the edge. I know.
So you got to really, really stay up, contain the edges, and keep them between the tackles. So I see it similarly. I'm going to throw the element of rain in here. It's 69 degrees and raining at game time. Now most of the rain is going to come in Friday.
It's going to drop after the sun goes down.
Oh, the temperature's 20. It could drop 20 degrees by the time the game's over. I've got a nephew who lives nearby, and he's keeping me abreast of the weather. He says most of the rain's going to come in Friday. And by the way, this is a blessing. They haven't had rain in months in Oklahoma, so all the farmers are very happy.
Oh yeah, big farming community. So yeah.
So by all means. But to me, it's all about ball control. This game's ball control, and so. Sam's running, Scat's running, and we're going to have another back really jump in there. It may be Brown, it may be.
I like the way Kyson ran in that opening drive against Cincinnati, and then you didn't see him the rest of the game.
Yep.
So I'd like to, give him a few shots. Why not?
I think to get 250 yards of rushing, it necessitates at least 2 or 3 guys.
It can't be Cam all by himself.
No.
I mean, he's certainly capable of getting to about 200, but after that, you got to start counting on some other guys.
Yeah, and I think we're capable. We've got to start the game strong. We're proven we're not a team that's really built from getting down more than two scores. We've come back, but not every game. So we got to get started.
Not against a team like this that yes had their defensive struggles, but you give them some confidence and get them, in a better place mentally. They're certainly capable of turning it on and running you out of the building.
Yeah. So my poison. You got to stop Ollie, and then force Gordon to do dumb stuff. Flush him out. Make him get to his left. Make him throw across his body, and he doesn't have the best judgment. In my estimation, for a seventh-year guy,
he doesn't read defenses super well.
Well,
at least from what I've seen.
When I talk about judgment, I'm also talking about the fact that he was taunting their bench earlier. I forget what game it was where he was right in front of their bench and taunting their bench after he completed a ball. Well, act like you've been there, kid.
Yeah, very true.
Remember that it was early on in the season. He got called for taunting, and we've just got to be more physical. Everybody's got to be on their A game when it comes to the physicality in this game.
Sure.
These are Big Ten program, and everybody was talking about what is the signature of Oklahoma State? It's always been defensive line. They're not as strong this year. We know that.
Right.
Not as deep as they've been, but they're going to throw stuff at us, man. This is a system. This is a team that's a lot like Utah. They run a system. Every year they come right at you with good fundamental football, and they're not. I mean, they win 7 games over the last 20 years every year, and then every two years they win 8, and then they win 9, and then they win 10. This is a really high quality Big Ten powerhouse team we're playing. So
right.
We've got to really come hard in this game. And again, if we just play hard, I think the chips are going to fall in our favor in this game. So and that starts by playing physical. So that's my keys.
And those are keys to the game presented by Sleep in Heavenly Peace. We, kind of along the same wavelength as far as starting fast. I feel like, if we can stop either Bowman or Gordon, make this a one-dimensional team, ASU's got a good chance to win. And it's prediction time. I got ASU putting some points on the board in this game. I feel like they are certainly showing themselves capable of doing that. And I think, they come out of Stillwater with a victory, 33-27. I feel like the kicking game will play a factor at some point in this game. They'll probably have to kick a couple short field goals at some point. And, Oklahoma State's going to make this a game. This is their home turf. I think they're as a team and the coaching staff as well, they're so used to a level of success. They're not used to this kind of losing. They're not used to this happening. Right. They're going to have their team focused, and they're going to make this a game. But I still feel like ASU, especially with Sam Leavitt back, and Oklahoma State's defensive struggles, can come out on top for sure.
No, I think with the bye week, we've really had a chance to self-scout and figure out how to put some points on the board this week. And yep. I'm looking at a TD per quarter, and I'm seeing at least 1 to 2 really good defensive stops in the fourth quarter that prevents them from getting 7 and keeps them to 3. So I see it as a 4-point game.
Our defense has gotten better as the game goes on. That's certainly been proven. So, yeah, I'm with you. I feel like this is a game for the defense to kind of pin their ears back and do what we think they're capable of. They've shown themselves capable at times in short stretches. Now I think it's time to potentially put together a 4-quarter game and that will lead the team to victory.
So that'll do it.
Yeah, that'll do it for us this week on RWD. Say good night. Four Devils, Forks Up, OSU Cowboys. For Big John, for the RyKno. See you guys next week. Four Devils.
Devils.